Shalom, shalom, Mishpaka. Hey, it's Dre, your brother Dre. YAHUAH Sha'al, your brother Sha'al, coming to you live from home in the Bama. All right, Barak YAHUAH. Abba is good. Just want to say much love, and I pray everybody is well. So, once again, I am trying to perfect this new system. So, you guys, please just bear with me as I get it to perfection, and feel free to give me feedback of things that need to be changed, audio quality, whatever. I appreciate that. All right, we're going to move right into it. My first video was about 2.5 hours long, and we're not going to do that again. So YAHUAH, he's going to break that first video up into 2 parts for YouTube. All right, so going forward, I'm going to try to keep these videos to 1 hour or less, and if I had to do a part 3, 4, 5, I'll do that. So I know that I'll probably end up doing 2 more parts, this one and at least 1 more, maybe more. All right, so we're gonna go right into it. Let's get started, and I was good. All right, so we established some things in the first video. I'm not even gonna go back over all that. You guys, whoever is interested, can watch the first video, and then you'll get caught up and you'll see where we are here. All right, so now in this video, let's go ahead and move forward. All right. Okay, so we're starting right where we left off. And what we're starting today is the stranger bond or free, slave or son? All right, so we established some things in the first video that were very interesting, and just showed Yahuwah's goodness, which I think about even what Hamashiach said when he was given the parable about the man that hired people to come into his vineyard, to come into his fields and to do work for him. And he hired a group very early in the day and told them he would pay them a certain amount, and then he hired others throughout the day. And then I think it got to about an hour left of work, and he hired another person or another group or whatever and told them they was going to pay them. All right. And he ended up paying them all the same amount. And the people that were there first got mad and said, hey, why we've been here all day? They only been here like an hour. Why are they getting paid the same amount we got paid? And he said, did I not pay you what I agreed to pay you? You know what I'm saying? He said, so why are you upset with me because I'm good? It was very powerful. If you really look at it and think about what he said, it was very powerful. He said, why are you upset with me? Because I'm good. In other words, he was saying, I'm good. That's so good and loving of me to hire these people and give them their wage, even though they only came in for an hour. It's still the wage that we agreed to. I'm good for that. And you're upset with me because I'm good. In other words, you should be rejoicing because I'm good. All right. That's the same thing with the strangers. It's the same principle. Abba YAHUAH is good, and instead of being basking and rejoicing in his goodness, we get upset, kind of like Jonah, when he went to preach to Nineveh, and he didn't even really want them to repent. He wanted them to be destroyed. And we see how Abba dealt with him. All right. So let's move. Is the stranger bond or free, slave or son? We're just going to go ahead and we're going to give the scripts. All right. Answer is both, depending on the person. Okay. I told you guys in the first video, I'm giving answers up front. We're not going to wait for answers. We'll give you answers up front, and then I'm going to give you the evidence of the answers. All right. Note, our disobedience opened the door for condemned nations to enter into the covenant. Very important to understand. our disobedience gave them time and opportunity to repent. The reason being is because at first Abba told us to destroy them all. Not every nation, but the specific nations that he wanted destroyed, he said to kill everything, kill them all. But we didn't. Let's go. Exodus 23:33. For mine angel shall go before you and bring thee into the Amorites and the Hittites and the Perizzites and the Canaanites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, and I will cut them off. Thou shalt not bow down to their YAHUAH, Elohim, nor serve them, nor do after their works, but thou shalt utterly overthrow them and quite break down their images. All right. And you shall serve YAHUAH your YAHUAH, and he shall bless your bread and your water, and I will take sickness away from the midst of you. There shall nothing cast their young, nor be barren in your land. The number of your days I will fulfill. I will send my fear before you, and will destroy all the people to whom thou shalt come. And I will make all your enemies turn their backs unto you, and I will send hornets before thee, which shall drive out the Hivite, the Canaanite, the Hittite from before thee. I will not drive them out from before thee in 1 year, lest the land become desolate, and the beasts of the field multiply against you. By little and little I will drive them out from before thee, until thou be increased and inherit the land. And I will set thy bounds from the Red Sea even unto the sea of the Philistines, and from the desert unto the river. For I will deliver the inhabitants of the land into your hand, and you shall drive them out before you. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor with their YAHUAH. They shall not dwell in your land, lest they make thee commit crime against me. For if you serve their YAHUAH, it will surely be a snare unto you. Very important that we get context in everything that we read. Very important that we get context. The whole issue that Abba had with these nations was their wickedness. Exodus 34:11-16. Observe thou that which I command you this day. Behold, I drive out before you the Amorite and the Canaanite and the Hittite and the Perizzite and the Hivite and the Jebusite. Take heed to yourself, lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land whither you go, lest it be for a snare in the midst of you. But ye shall destroy their altars, break down their images, cut down their groves, for thou shalt worship no other YAHUAH, for YAHUAH, whose name is jealous, is a jealous YAHUAH. Lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, and they go a whoring after their YAHUAH, and do sacrifice unto their YAHUAH, and one call you, and thou eat of his sacrifice, and thou shalt take their daughters unto your sons, and their daughters go a whoring after their YAHUAH, and make thy sons go a whoring after their YAHUAH. We see that with Solomon, amongst many others, not just Solomon. All right, let's keep going. Joshua 23:1-16. And it came to pass a long time after that YAHUAH had given rest unto Yasharal from all their enemies round about, that Joshua waxed old, waxed old and stricken in age. And Yeshua called for, I'll just say Joshua for the sake of people who may not understand. And Joshua called for all Israel, Yasharal, and for their elders, and for their heads, and for their judges, and for their officers, and said unto them, I am old and stricken in age, and ye have seen all that YAHUAH, your YAHUAH, have done unto all these nations because of you. Because of you. For YAHUAH, your YAHUAH, is he that hath fought for you. Behold, I have divided unto you by lot these nations that remain to be an inheritance for your tribes, from Jordan, with all the nations that I have cut off, even unto the great sea westward. And YAHUAH your YAHUAH, he shall expel them from before you, and drive them out of your sight. And ye shall possess their land, as YAHUAH your YAHUAH hath promised you. Be ye therefore courageous to keep and do all that is written in the book of the law of Moshe, that ye turn not aside therefrom to the right or to the left, that ye come not among these nations, these that remain among you, neither make mention of their YAHUAH, nor cause to swear by them, neither serve them nor bow yourself unto them, but cleave unto YAHUAH your YAHUAH, as ye have done unto this day. For Yahuwah hath driven out from before you great nations and strong, but as for you, no man hath been able to stand before you unto this day. One man of you shall chase 1,000, for Yahuwah your YAHUAH, he it is that fighteth for you, as he hath promised you. Take good heed, therefore unto yourselves, that ye love Yahuwah your YAHUAH. Else if ye do in any wise go back, and cleave unto the remnant of these nations, even these that remaineth among you, and shall make marriages with them, and go in unto them, and they to you, know for a certainty that Yahuwah your YAHUAH will no more drive out any of these nations from before you. But they shall be snares and traps unto you, and scourges in your sides, and thorns in your eyes, until you perish from off this good land which Yahuwah your YAHUAH hath given you. And behold, this day I am going the way of all the earth. So Joshua is telling them about to die. And ye know in all your hearts and in all your souls that not one thing hath failed of all the good things which Yahuwah your YAHUAH spake concerning you. All are come to pass unto you, and not one thing hath failed thereof. Therefore it shall come to pass that as all good things are come upon you, which Yahuwah your YAHUAH promised you, so shall Yahuwah bring upon you evil things, until he have destroyed you from off this good land, which Yahuwah your YAHUAH have given you, when you have transgressed the covenant of Yahuwah your YAHUAH, which he commanded you, and have gone and served other YAHUAH, and bowed yourselves to them. Then shall the anger of Yahuwah be kindled against you, and you shall perish quickly from off the good land which he hath given you. So we can see the whole issue that he has is being turned away from him. Deuteronomy 18:9-14. When thou art come into the land which Yahuwah thy YAHUAH giveth you, thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations of those nations. There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that useth divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. For all that do these things are an abomination unto Yahuwah, and because of these abominations Yahuwah thy YAHUAH drive them out from before you. Thou shalt be perfect with Yahuwah your YAHUAH. For these nations which thou shalt possess hearken unto observers of times and unto diviners. But as for you, Yahuwah thy YAHUAH have not suffered you to do so. So we can see right here, he's reminding us of why he put those nations out and warning us not to do as they have done. Barak Yahuwah. Abba's good. All right. Let's keep moving. Let's keep moving. All right. So I said up here in the beginning that our disobedience opened the door for condemned nations to enter into the covenant. Our disobedience gave them time and opportunity to repent. They weren't supposed to even be alive. They were supposed to all be destroyed, but we didn't do that. Okay? Watch this. We did not drive them out. So let's go to a few scripts. All right? You can read all the Judges later, but let me show you this. Judges 1-19. And Yahuwah was with Yahudah. So this is the time where they were going out to get the land. Okay? And Yahuwah was with Yahudah, and he drave out the inhabitants of the mountain, but could not drive out the inhabitants of the valley, because they had chariots of iron. 1-21. And the children of Benjamin did not drive out the Jebusites that inhabited Jerusalem, but the Jebusites dwell with the children of Benjamin in Jerusalem unto this day. Judges 1:27. Neither did Manasseh drive out the inhabitants of Bethshean and her towns, nor Tanakh and her towns, nor the inhabitants of Dor and her towns, nor the inhabitants of Ablim and her towns, nor the inhabitants of Megiddo and her towns, but the Canaanites would dwell in that land. So you see all these places that Manasseh didn't drive out. Let's keep going. All right. And it came to pass, Judges 1:28, and it came to pass when Yasharal was strong that they put the Canaanites to tribute and did not utterly drive them out. Yahuwah said to drive them out, destroy them. All right. But you see, we're going through all these tribes that didn't completely do what they were supposed to do. Neither did Ephraim drive out the Canaanites that dwelt in Gezer, but the Canaanites dwelt in Gezer among them. Judges 1:30. Neither did Zebulun drive out the inhabitants of Catron, nor the inhabitants of Nahalo, but the Canaanites dwelt among them and became tributaries. That means they paid them taxes. Judges 1:31. Neither did Asher drive out the inhabitants of Akko, nor the inhabitants of Zidon, nor Alab, nor of Agzib, nor of Haba, nor Aphik, nor of Rehob. But the Asherites dwelt among the Canaanites, the inhabitants of the land, for they did not drive them out. Judges 1:33. Neither did Naphtali drive out the inhabitants of Bethshemesh, nor the inhabitants of Bethanath, but he dwelt among the Canaanites, the inhabitants of the land. Nevertheless, the inhabitants of Bethshemesh and of Bethanath became tributaries unto them. So do you see this? We didn't do what we were supposed to do. Yahuwah gave specific instructions to utterly drive them out, destroy them. All right, all that. We didn't. All right, and Abba knew from the beginning that we weren't going to do it. Judges 2:1-23. Watch this. And an angel of Yahuwah came up from Gilgal to Bochum and said, I made you to go up out of Mitzrayim, Egypt, and have brought you into a place which I swear unto your fathers. And I said, I will never break my covenant with you, and ye shall make no league with the inhabitants of this land. Ye shall throw down their altars, but ye have not obeyed my voice. So we just went over that. We just went over all these tribes that did not do what Yahuwah said to do. They did not drive out the Jebusites. They did not drive out the Bethlehem. They did not drive out the Canaanites from these places. They didn't drive out the inhabitants of Catron. Neither did Asher drive out the inhabitants. So we see that we didn't do what he said. All right, watch this. But ye have not obeyed my voice. Why have ye done this? You see that? Why have you done this? He said, you shall make no league with the inhabitants of this land. You shall throw down their altars, but you have not obeyed my voice. So the children of Yasharal left the people of the land. Not only did they leave the people of the land, they left their deities, and they left their foolishness. And it comes back to bite them. All right, watch this. But ye have not obeyed my voice. Why have you done this? Wherefore I also said, I will not drive them out from before you, but they shall be as thorns in your sides, and their YAHUAH shall be a snare unto you. And it came to pass, when the angel of Yahuwah spake these words unto all the children of Yasharal, that the people lifted up their voice and wept, and they called the name of that place Bochim, and they sacrificed there unto Yahuwah. And when Joshua had let the people go, the children of Yasharal went every man into his inheritance to possess the land. And the people served Yahuwah all the days of Joshua and all the days of the elders that outlived Joshua, who had seen all the great works of Yahuwah that he did for Yasharal. And Joshua the son of Nun, the servant of Yahuwah, died, being 110 years old. And they buried him in the border of his inheritance in Timotheus, in the mount of Ephraim, on the north side of the hill Gaash. And also all that generation were gathered unto the fathers. And there arose another generation after them, which knew not Yahuwah, nor yet the works which he had done for Yasharal. And the children of Yasharal did evil in the sight of Yahuwah, and served Baalim. And they forsook Yahuwah, YAHUAH of their fathers, which brought them out of the land of Egypt, and followed other YAHUAH, of the YAHUAH of the people that were round about them, and bowed themselves unto them, and provoked Yahuwah to anger. They forsook Yahuwah, and served Baal and Ashtaroth. And the anger of Yahuwah was hot against Yasharal, and he delivered them into the hands of spoilers that spoiled them, and he sold them into the hands of their enemies round about, so that they could not any longer stand before their enemies. Whithersoever they went out, the hand of YAHUAH was against them for evil, as YAHUAH had said, and as YAHUAH had sworn unto them, and they were greatly distressed. Nevertheless, YAHUAH raised up judges which delivered them out of the hand of those that spoiled them, and yet they would not hearken unto the judges, but they went whoring after other YAHUAH, and bowed themselves unto them. They turned quickly out of the way which their fathers walked in, obeying the commandments of YAHUAH, but they did not so. And when YAHUAH raised them up judges, then YAHUAH was with the judge, and delivered them out of the hand of their enemies all the days of the judge. For it repented YAHUAH because of their groanings, by reason of them that oppressed them and vexed them. And it came to pass, when the judge was dead, that they returned and corrupted themselves more than their fathers, in following other YAHUAH to serve them and to bow down unto them. They ceased not from their own doings, nor from their stubborn way. And the anger of YAHUAH was hot against Yasharal. And he said, because that this people have transgressed my covenant, which I commanded their fathers, and have not hearkened unto my voice, I also will not henceforth drive out any from before them of the nations which Joshua left when he died, that through them I may prove, Yasharal, whether they will keep the way of YAHUAH to walk therein as their fathers did keep it, or not. Therefore YAHUAH left those nations without driving them out hastily, neither delivered he them into the hand of Joshua. Again, all this has happened because of our disobedience. And we can take this and apply this today. We're supposed to drive out. That's why he said to come out of the whore. We're supposed to come out completely. We're not supposed to leave anything, any trace of the whore of Babylon. We're supposed to come out completely. Otherwise, it can become a snare to us. All right. Deuteronomy 29, 1 through 12. These are the words of the covenant which YAHUAH commanded Moshe to make with the children of Yasharal in the land of Moab, beside the covenant which he made with them in Horeb. And Moshe called unto all Yasharal and said unto them, Ye have seen all that YAHUAH did before your eyes in the land of Egypt unto Pharaoh, and unto all his servants, and to all his land. The great temptations which thine eyes have seen, the signs and those great miracles, yet YAHUAH have not given you an heart to perceive, and eyes to see, and ears to hear unto this day. And I have led you 40 years in the wilderness. Your clothes are not waxing old upon you, and thy shoe is not waxing old upon your foot. Ye have not eaten bread, neither have ye drunk wine or strong drink, that ye might know that I am YAHUAH your YAHUAH. And when ye came into this place, Sihon the king of Heshbon and Og the king of Bashan came out against us unto battle, and we smote them. And we took their land and gave it for an inheritance unto the Reubenites, the Gadites, the half tribe of Manasseh. Keep therefore the words of this covenant, and do them, that ye may prosper in all that you do. Ye stand this day, all of you, before YAHUAH, your YAHUAH, your captains of your tribes, your elders and your officers, with all the men of Yasharal, your little ones, your wives, and your stranger that is in your camp, from the hewer of your wood unto the drawer of your water, that thou shouldest enter into covenant with YAHUAH thy YAHUAH, into his oath, which YAHUAH thy YAHUAH make thee this day. Exodus 33, 18 through 19. And he said, I beseech you, show me your esteem. And he said, I will make all my goodness pass before you, and I will proclaim the name of YAHUAH before you, and will be gracious to whom I will be gracious, and will show mercy on whom I will show mercy. So YAHUAH is able to show mercy and will show mercy on whoever he chooses. He doesn't need anybody's permission. For instance, case in point, our father King Dawood, he was supposed to die for what he did. He committed 2 crimes that were punishable by death. In the same instance, he committed 2 that were punishable by death. All right, 1, he committed adultery. He took another man's wife. 2, he committed murder. He had the man killed. But YAHUAH put his crime away from him, which he told him by the mouth of the prophet. Why? Because YAHUAH is sovereign, and he can have mercy on whoever he wants to, and who is going to say something to him about it. All right, let's go. Bondmen or free, slaves or sons. So we can see up front, that everything, that even the only reason those nations, people from those nations were even still alive was because Yasharal didn't do what they were told. So Yasharal's disobedience, Abba used their disobedience to open a door for even some of those people that he said were supposed to be destroyed, for some of them to have time and place to repent. All right, let's go. Bond or free, slave or son. Let's give some examples. And we're going to start right here. We're going to see right here where these men were bondmen. So they were servants, slaves, forever. But there's a twist to this. Watch. Joshua 9, 3-27. And when the inhabitants of Gibeon, take note of that. Gibeon. Let's highlight that. All right. And when the inhabitants of Gibeon heard what Joshua had done unto Jericho and to Ai, they did work wildly and went out and made as if they had been ambassadors, and took old sacks upon their asses and wine bottles old and rent and bound up, and old shoes and clouded upon their feet, and old garments upon them, and all the bread of their provisions was dry and moldy. And they went to Joshua into the camp at Gilgal, and said unto him and to the men of Yasharal, We be come from a far country. Now therefore make you a league with us. And the men of Yasharal said unto the Hivites, Peradventure ye dwell among us, and how shall we make a league with you? And they said unto Joshua, We are thy servants. And Joshua said unto them, Who are you? And from whence come you? And they said unto him, From a very far country thy servants are come, because of the name of YAHUAH thy YAHUAH, for we have heard the fame of him and all that he did in Egypt, and all that he did to the two kings of the Amorites that were beyond Jordan, to Sihon, king of Heshbon, to Og, king of Bashan, which was at Ashtaroth. Wherefore our elders and the inhabitants of our country spake to us, saying, Take victuals with you for the journey, and go to meet them, and say unto them, We are your servants. Therefore now make you a league with us. This our bread we took hot for our provision out of our houses on the day we came forth to go unto you. But now, behold, it is dry and it is moldy. And these bottles of wine which we filled were new, and behold, they be rent. And these are our garments, and our shoes are become old by reason of the very long journey. And the men took victuals and asked not counsel at the mouth of YAHUAH. All right. So this right here is when the children of Yasharal were taking over the land. And this is when they went to get Jericho. And these, remember, YAHUAH told them to kill everybody. No one was supposed to survive. All right. So these guys, these Hivites, the Gibeonites, I want you to highlight that. We're going back to that later. Gibeonites said, okay, these jokers about to kill us like they did everybody else. So let's go ahead and trick them and make them think that we're not from here, because they and make them think we're from far away, so that they won't kill us. All right. So it says that the children of Yasharal, they didn't ask counsel of YAHUAH. When those men came to them, they didn't ask YAHUAH. They just went ahead and made a league with them. All right. All right. And the men took their victuals and asked not counsel at the mouth of YAHUAH. And Joshua made peace with them. Here we go. Watch this. And Joshua made peace with them and made a league to let them live. And the princes of the congregation swear unto them. We got to highlight that. We're coming back to that. And it came to pass at the end of 3 days, after they had made a league with them, that they heard that they were their neighbors, and that they dwelt among them. And the children of Yasharal journeyed and came unto their cities on the 3rd day. Now their cities were Gibeon and Sapphira and Berath and Karjothaim. And the children of Yasharal smote them not. They didn't kill them, because the princes of the congregation had sworn unto them by YAHUAH, YAHUAH of Yasharal. And all the congregation murmured against the princes. But all the princes said unto the congregation, We have sworn unto them by YAHUAH, YAHUAH of Yasharal. Now therefore we may not touch them. Highlight that. We may not touch them. This we will do to them. We will even let them live, lest wrath be upon us. So even though YAHUAH said to kill them all, because they made a covenant with them and an oath with them, they could not go back on their covenant. So if they went and killed them after making an oath with them, even though YAHUAH told them to kill them at first, they made an oath with them. So now YAHUAH made them stick to it. Oh boy. And the princes said unto them, let them live, but let them be hewers of wood and drawers of water unto all the congregation, as the princes had promised them. And Joshua called for them and spake unto them, saying, wherefore ye have beguiled us? In other words, you tricked us, saying, we are very far from you when you dwell among us. Now therefore you are cursed, and there shall none of you be freed from being bondmen and hewers of wood and drawers of water for the house of my YAHUAH. Do you see this? So in our first video, we talked about strangers and the differences, how all the strangers weren't the same. Some strangers were servants and slaves. Some strangers were actually free. All right. We can see right here now Joshua is telling this group of people, you will never be freed from being bondmen. Why would he say that? Unless it was already established that bondmen could be freed at some point. He said, you'll never be freed from being bondmen and hewers of wood and drawers of water for the house of my YAHUAH. And they answered Joshua and said, because it was certainly told your servants how that YAHUAH thy YAHUAH commanded his servant Moses to give you all the land and to destroy all the inhabitants of the land before you. So they knew that they were supposed to be killed. That's why they tricked them. Therefore we were afraid of our lives because of you, and have done this thing. And now, behold, we are in your hand, as it seemeth good and right unto thee, do unto us. And so did he unto them, and delivered them out of the hand of the children of Yasharal, that they slew them not. And Joshua made them that day hewers of wood and drawers of water for the congregation, and for the altar of YAHUAH, even unto this day, in the place which he should choose. Do you see this? Now, here's a twist. Let me show you how good Abba is. See, for a person with a hate-filled heart, this will make you mad. But a person whose heart is circumcised will understand that YAHUAH is constantly showing us how good he is. Watch this. Watch this. You see this right here. These are Gibeonites, right? We see it again here. Gibeon is where they're from. They're Gibeonites. All right. Now, watch this. We have sworn unto them by YAHUAH of Yasharal. Now, therefore, we may not touch them. That's the covenant they made with those Gibeonites. All right. Now, watch this. 2 Samuel 21, 1 through 6. Then there was a famine in the days of David, 3 years, year after year. And David inquired of YAHUAH, and YAHUAH answered, it is for Saul and for his bloody house, because he slew the Gibeonites. Watch this. Let's highlight that. So do you see this? YAHUAH brought a famine on Yasharal, because this was in the time of David. Now, David didn't have nothing to do with this, but YAHUAH he's an YAHUAH of covenant. He don't forget. He don't forget. Yasharal may have forgot what they said to those Gibeonites, but YAHUAH didn't forget. So there was a famine in the days of David, 3 years, year after year. And David inquired of YAHUAH, and YAHUAH answered, it is for Saul and for his bloody house, because he slew the Gibeonites. And the king called the Gibeonites and said unto them, now the Gibeonites were not of the children of Yasharal, but of the remnant of the Amorites, and the children of Yasharal had sworn unto them. Do you see that? This is talking about what we just read up here, where Joshua swore to these guys that we're not going to mess with y'all. Okay? So he swore to them that they were not going to mess with them. So Yasharal forever was not supposed to mess with them. Think about it. YAHUAH said to David, this is because of what Saul did to the Gibeonites. What Saul did to the Gibeonites was long after Joshua. The covenant was made all the way back in Joshua, but YAHUAH did not forget. So all this time has passed, and now Saul broke the covenant and killed some of these Gibeonites who they were not supposed to touch. And then time passes, and YAHUAH brings a famine in the time of David and says, this is why I'm doing it, because y'all broke the covenant. Even though David didn't do it, still Yasharal did it. They broke the covenant with the Gibeonites, and YAHUAH made them pay for breaking a covenant with servants and bondmen. They weren't even their equals, but he still made them pay because they broke the covenant. That's how serious YAHUAH takes covenant. Wow. Watch this. All right. And the king called the Gibeonites and said unto them, I just want to show you this. Gibeonites. Here we go. Gibeonites. Same folks. This is who they're talking about. Wherefore, no, he said, and the Gibeonites were not the children of Yasharal, but of the remnant of the Amorites, and the children of Yasharal had sworn unto them. And Saul sought to slay them in his zeal to the children of Yasharal and YAHUAH. So Saul went on trying to kill him, and he did slay some. Wherefore David said to the Gibeonites, what shall I do for you, and wherewith shall I make the atonement? So he had to atone for that broken covenant, that ye may bless the inheritance of YAHUAH. And the Gibeonites said unto him, we will have no silver nor gold of Saul, nor of his house, neither for us shalt thou kill any man in Yasharal. And he said, what ye shall say, that will I do for you. And they answered the king, the man that consumed us, and that devised against us, that we should be destroyed from remaining in any of the coasts of Yasharal, let 7 men of his sons be delivered unto us, and we will hang them up before YAHUAH in Gibeah of Saul, whom YAHUAH did choose. And the king said, this is King Dawood, I will give them. Do you see this? So what I'm showing you here is that King Dawood gave men of Yasharal their lives in exchange for the lives of heathen bondmen. Why? Because Yasharal broke a covenant, and they weren't supposed to kill him. All right. We can see clearly that these men were bondmen. They were not free, and they were to never be free. Bondmen. All right. Let's keep moving. 1 Kings 9:20-22. And all the people that were left of the Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites, which were not of the children of Yasharal, the children that were left after them in the land, whom the children of Yasharal also were not able utterly to destroy, upon those did Solomon levy a tribute of bond service unto this day. But of the children of Yasharal did Solomon make no bondmen, but they were men of war, his servants, his princes, and his captains, and rulers of his chariots and his horsemen. All right, you see that? Now, we can go to Uriah. We already talked about him in the first video. And we can see how Uriah was a Hittite. He was one of these guys. But King Dawood made him a man of war. It says, but the children of Israel, Yasharal, did Solomon make no bondmen, but they were men of war. Where did he get this pattern from? He got it from his father. But we see Uriah the Hittite was not a bond servant. He wasn't a bond servant to anyone. He was a man of war. He was part of Yasharal's army. Not only that, he was one of David's top 37 mighty men. And there was another Hittite in there with him. There might have been other ones, but I know 2 for sure. And the Israelite, Yasharali, Eliam, another fellow soldier, gave Uriah his wife, his daughter, Bathsheba, to be his wife. So YAHUAH said, don't intermarry with those people of the nation, right? See, we're missing context. It's all about going into them and their wickedness. We can see right here that this man, Eliam, gave his daughter Bathsheba to a Hittite. But he wasn't a Hittite at that time. What I come to present to you is that he was part of the nation. He was part of the covenant. He was circumcised, which we established in the first video, that what makes you a stranger is uncircumcision. Uncircumcision in heart and uncircumcision in flesh. Uriah the Hittite joined himself to Yasharal. Therefore, the man, Eliam, giving him his Yasharal daughter to this so-called heathen Hittite, YAHUAH had no problem with it, because he was in the covenant now. Let's keep going. Bondmen, 1 Chronicles 22:2. And David commanded to gather together the strangers that were in the land of Yasharal. All right. And he set masons to hew wrought stones to build the house of YAHUAH. All right. So we can see that these strangers were made to be masons and to work and to be workers of stone. All right. More than likely, bondmen. We can see right here, Solomon didn't make any bondmen, but he made servants. All right, let's keep going. 2 Chronicles 2:17. And Solomon numbered all the strangers that were in the land of Yasharal, after numbering wherewith David his father had numbered them. And there were found 150,000 and 3,600. 2 Chronicles 2:18. And he set 70,000 of them to be bearers of burdens, and 80,000 to be hewers in the mountain, and 3,600 overseers to set the people a work. So all the strangers in the land, these are what he set them to: bearers of burdens, hewers in the mountain, overseers to set the people to a work. So I'm showing you guys that every stranger that was in Yasharal was not a stranger. If you got circumcised and entered the covenant, you were no longer considered a stranger. Those people, those who were circumcised and part of the covenant, did not fall into this category. We can see that with Caleb, even before Solomon. So do you think that the children of Caleb were bearers of burdens, hewers in the mountain, and overseers because they were strangers? We already established in the last video, no, that's not true, because Caleb, who was a Kenizzite, was a leader of YAHUAH. Matter of fact, he was the elder of YAHUAH, because remember, at the time that they went into the land, he was the only one left of that first generation. YAHUAH killed everybody else. The only two that came in from that generation were Caleb and Joshua. So Caleb was the oldest Yahudi in the whole land. He was the elder. And we can also see it clearly in scriptures, even when they're going to battle, that they answered to Caleb. And he was, by blood, a heathen. He wasn't Yasharal by blood, but he was Yasharal by circumcision. And his father became Yasharal. Abba's good. See, Abba is good, but we get mad at him for being good because we want to hate people. All right, so those were examples of strangers being bondmen. Now, let's give some examples of them being free. We've gone through this over before, Ezekiel 47:21-23. So shall you divide this land unto you according to the tribes of Yasharal. And it shall come to pass that you shall divide it by lot for inheritance unto you, and to the strangers that sojourn among you, which shall beget children among you. That's where Caleb comes in, because Jephani was his father. He was the stranger that dwelt among them. The children that were begat by Jephani were Caleb, and he had a brother named I can't remember his brother's name, but anyway, this is talking about that also. So you can even see this in the example with Caleb. All right, they shall have inheritance, the stranger that sojourns with you, which you shall beget, and which shall beget children among you, and they shall be unto you as born in the country. So what does unto you as born in the country mean? This right here is not talking about the bondservants. This is talking about the sojourners that joined the covenant, like we read about in Exodus, where it said, no stranger shall come and eat the Passover. But if he be circumcised and all the males in his house be circumcised, then he can come and eat it. And you will treat him and he will be as one that's born in the land. That's a whole different set of stranger. You had the strangers that were bondservants, like the ones that tricked Joshua and they made them bondservants forever. And then you also had the strangers that were not bondservants. For instance, when we came out of Mitzrayim, we had strangers with us. They didn't come out as bondservants. When YAHUAH made the covenant, he made covenant with them also. Because he even said it. We already read it several times. Where I'm making covenant with you this day, the men of Yasharal, your wives, your children, the strangers in your gates. So remember when Yasharal killed Egypt, okay, how come he didn't, if he just saw all the Egyptians as the same, how come he didn't kill any of the ones that came out with them? because a mixed multitude came out. They didn't just come out by themselves. There were some that clave to them. There were some Egyptians. And when I say Egyptians, remember, if I'm correct, Egypt was a melting pot at that time. Kind of like America is a melting pot that has a lot of different nations in it. Many different nations in America. There are a lot of people that went to and lived in Egypt. So we don't even know how many other nations were among the Egyptians that came out with us. This thing gets deep. So when he was killing the Egyptians, how come he didn't kill the Egyptians that were with YAHUAH? Because he didn't see them as Egyptians. Ooh. He didn't see them as Egyptians. They were no longer Egyptians to him. They clave to YAHUAH. When YAHUAH commanded YAHUAH to be circumcised, guess what? All those that were with them, that came out and entered covenant with them, had to be circumcised. So any sojourners now new that came in, there were some people that came in just passing through, because YAHUAH had open borders. They didn't have closed borders. They had open borders. So they allowed strangers to come in. Remember when they were leaving and they were asking these nations, can we pass by? We're not going to mess with nobody. We're not going to mess with your stuff. If we need something, we'll buy it from you. Just let us go through. And they were like, no. YAHUAH wasn't like that. YAHUAH had open borders. They allowed people to come in and go through. They allowed people to come in, and if they needed to stay, they could stay. They could sojourn there. But to be part of the people, you had to be circumcised. Let's go. Isaiah 56, 3-8. Neither let the son of the stranger that have joined himself to YAHUAH speak, saying, YAHUAH have utterly separated me from his people. Do you see this? So he said, don't even let the strangers say that YAHUAH has separated me from his people. Some people will say that this scripture is talking about other Yasharali. I'm telling you right now, I'm just being real. Those are people that just don't want to accept the truth that will say something like that, because this is clearly not talking about anyone that's already Yasharal. Why would a stranger that is from a different tribe, visiting a different tribe, or sojourning with a different tribe, say, YAHUAH have not separated me from his people? That makes absolutely zero sense to even suggest that this is talking about within the nation of Yasharal. It's clearly talking about outsiders. Clearly. That's why he says, let not the stranger that have joined himself to YAHUAH speak, saying, YAHUAH have separated me from his people. Neither let the eunuch say, behold, I am a dry tree. For thus saith YAHUAH unto the eunuchs that keep my Sabbaths and choose the things that please me and take hold of my covenant. Even unto them will I give in my house and within my walls a place and a name better than sons and daughters. And I will give them an everlasting name that shall not be cut off. Watch this. Also the sons of the stranger that join themselves to YAHUAH to serve him and to love the name of YAHUAH, to be his servants, every one that keepeth the Shabbat from polluting it and taking hold of my covenant. You see that? Even then will I bring to my called at Kadesh mountain and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and their sacrifices shall be accepted upon mine altar. For my house shall be called a house of prayer for all people. YAHUAH, YAHUAH, which gathereth the outcasts of Yasharal, says, yet will I gather others to him, besides those that are gathered unto him. So he's saying, besides the outcasts of Yasharal, I'm going to even gather other people. He's telling us, but we don't want to listen to him because our hearts are full of hatred. Our hearts are not circumcised. He's telling us clearly, but we don't want to accept it. Conclusion. Some strangers were bondservants and some were joined to Yasharal through the covenant and circumcision. All right. Barak YAHUAH. Let me see what time I'm at here, how long I've been going. 51 minutes. I'm doing pretty good. So I'm going to do about an hour, 15 minutes. That's about it. All right, let's see if we can go to section 4. All right. The Christian doctrine of Yasharal now being spiritual. No more bloodline. True or false? We're going to do this one real quick. Not going to take long. The answer is that's false. There is no spiritual Israel. See, I know some people probably have listened to the video and probably thought that my answer to that was going to be yes, there is a spiritual Israel. No, there is not a spiritual Israel. There are not two Yasharals. There is not some religion that's created that the blood people don't matter and now it's just this spiritual religion. No, that's not true. That's false. There are not two Yasharals, nor is there a religion that replaces the blood people. The blood nation of Yasharal was always supposed to be spiritual. That's the only spiritual Israel that there is. The true blood people. And anyone that joins in Yahushua HaMashiach and keeps the covenant. But see, that's not new. That's not New Testament. Everything that we're establishing that already in the Old Testament without even going to the New Testament. We're establishing that Yasharal is always supposed to be spiritual. That's why Yahuwah told him all the way back then to circumcise your hearts. To circumcise your heart. We were always supposed to be spiritual. There is no spiritual Israel. All right. The blood nation, the bloodline people were always supposed to be spiritual with circumcised hearts from the beginning. It is still true today, and anyone joined to Yasharal must be the same. Circumcised. Circumcise, therefore, the foreskin of your hearts, and don't be stiff-necked anymore. Yahuwah said that all the way in the book of Deuteronomy. All right, Barak Yahuwah. Let's get some honorable mention of strangers, because some of these strangers, I don't have evidence that they actually became part of the nation, but we have clear evidence of their hearts toward Yahuwah and what Yahuwah said about them. Watch this. All right, this is the Ethiopian, Abedmelech. Jeremiah 38, 7 through 13. Now, when Abedmelech the Ethiopian, first of all, let me give you a little backstory. This is when the people of Yasharal, not heathens, but our own people, were persecuting the prophet Yirmiyahu, Jeremiah. Our people were persecuting him. Guess who's the only one that stood up to try to help him? A stranger. Let's go. Jeremiah 38, 7 through 13. Now, when Abedmelech the Ethiopian, one of the eunuchs which was in the king's house, heard that they had put Yirmiyahu, Jeremiah, in the dungeon, the king then sitting in the gate of Benjamin, Abedmelech went forth out of the king's house and spake to the king, saying, My master the king, these men have done evil in all that they have done to Jeremiah the prophet, whom they have cast into the dungeon. And he is like to die for hunger in the place where he is, for there is no more bread in the city. Then the king commanded Abedmelech the Ethiopian, saying, Take from hence 30 men with you, and take up Jeremiah the prophet out of the dungeon before he die. So Abedmelech took the men with him, and went into the house of the king under the treasury, and took thence old cast clouts and old rotten rags, and let them down by cords into the dungeon to Jeremiah. And Abedmelech the Ethiopian, let's highlight that. You notice how it stresses that, right? We see that with Ruth the Moabitess. We see all that. We see that. Obed-Edom the Gittite. Abedmelech the Ethiopian said unto Jeremiah, Put now these old cast clouts and rotten rags under your armholes, under the cords. And Jeremiah did so. So they drew up Jeremiah with cords and took him up out of the dungeon, and Jeremiah remained in the court of the prison. So this heathen is the one that saved, well, Yahuwah saved him, but he used this heathen, who was the only one that had a heart to even speak up for the prophet. His own people were trying to kill him. Watch what Yahuwah says in response. Jeremiah 39, 15 through 18. Now the word of Yahuwah came to Jeremiah while he was shut up in the court of the prison, saying, Go and speak to Abedmelech the Ethiopian, saying, Thus says Yahuwah of hosts, YAHUAH of Yasharal, Behold, I will bring my words upon this city for evil and not for good, and they shall be accomplished in that day before you. But I will deliver you in that day, saith Yahuwah, and thou shalt not be given to the hand of the men of whom you are afraid. Why? For I will surely deliver you, and thou shalt not fall by the sword, but thy life shall be a prey unto you. Why? Why? The reason is very, very important. Why? Because thou hast put your trust in me, says Yahuwah. So while all the nation was getting beat up and taken into captivity, this is when Nebuchadnezzar came, by the way. When all that went down, he saved the heathen, because the heathen is the one that had a heart for him and spoke up to save his prophet. So while the bloodline was going into captivity and getting killed, YAHUAH paid special attention and even sent the prophet back to speak to the heathen that helped him. He bypassed all the bloodline, didn't say nothing to the bloodline. He just sat back and watched as they got killed and destroyed and taken into captivity. He didn't say nothing, but he had a word for the heathen, a word for the stranger. Because it's him, the stranger, that had the heart for YAHUAH. Rahab the harlot. I don't need to go through all this one because you guys know that story. All right. But I do want to skip down and I want to just show you right here. All right. It says here, Joshua had said unto the two men that had spied out the country, go into the harlot's house and bring out the woman and all that she saith, all that she has, as ye swear unto her. Now I want to show you that Rahab was of the Canaanites. Jericho was, these were still the Canaanite people. All right. These are the people that they were supposed to be destroyed. But because she helped the men of Yasharal, they made a covenant with her. And because they made a covenant with her, they couldn't touch her. They had to hold to the covenant. Everybody else died. But guess what? Watch this. And they burnt the city with fire and all that was therein, only the silver and the gold and the vessels of brass and the iron they put into the treasury of the house of YAHUAH. And Joshua saved Rahab the harlot alive and her father's house and all that she had. And she dwelleth in Yasharal even unto this day, because she hid the messengers which Joshua sent to spy out Jericho. So at the time this was written, they were saying that he saved her and her father's whole household, and they dwelt with them even to that day. And nowhere does it say that he made them servants. Matter of fact, if we go and we look, I'm not going to the renewed covenant, but if we go and we look in the renewed covenant, it's some people say, I don't know, I haven't confirmed it yet, that the Rahab mentioned in the book of Matthew, which married, I can't remember who she married, but he was an Israelite man. That's that same Rahab the harlot, and which is also where the bloodline of, I can't remember if it was Boaz. I think it was Boaz that she gave birth to, or not, maybe not gave birth to, but was either grandmother or great grandmother, something like that. All right, but like I said, I haven't confirmed that. But the point is, Rahab and what happened to her because of her doing righteousness. All right. Now, section 6, we're going to go into next time. That's answering the hate brews. All right. I got to get some more going with that because I got more that I want to present. And we're about out of time anyway. So I am at 1 hour, 43 seconds. Really, Tada Abba. That finished up just in time. All right, so I want to just say shalom, shalom. Much love to everyone that joined. Just a quick recap. What we talked about today was bond or free, slave or son. All right. We talked about how the only reason that these certain of these nations, and remember, YAHUAH didn't say to kill all the nations. It was just a few of them. Only reason they even survived was because Yasharal was disobedient. But in Yasharal's disobedience, that gave many of them the opportunity to repent. And I showed you in video 1. You have to go back and watch video 1 to keep up pace. I showed you video 1. Many of these people, these same people YAHUAH said to kill, I could show you many of them in Yasharal righteous. As a whole, they were a snare unto Yasharal, drugged them back into idolatry and all kind of stuff. But it wasn't all of them. YAHUAH said he'll have mercy on whoever he wants to have mercy on. I showed you Ittai the Gittite. He was a Gittite. I showed you Uriah the Hittite. I showed you Obed Edom the Gittite. We see Caleb was a Kenizzite. Some of these men were from these nations we were supposed to destroy. Some of them were from other nations. They're not the ones we were supposed to destroy, but they were all still other nations. You know? So we could see that from the very beginning, Yahuwah always had a plan for even the Gentiles. We see it over and over again how I'm talking about the strangers, the Gentiles, and how we're supposed to be a light to them. All right. So that is part 2. I want to say shalom, shalom for joining. We're going to go ahead and end this video. We're going to end with the song. I'm going to take you guys back to a song I wrote while I was off Facebook the last time. It's called Take Me Away. This is an original song. So Facebook, do not mute my video like you do when I try to play Lorvin songs. This is my song, so don't mute my video. Barak Yahuwah. All right, I love you guys deeply. We will see you next time. All right, with part 3, and we're going to be going to the answering the hate brews. And I plan to end this whole series with a live Zoom, and I'm going to invite anyone on that has any disagreement with anything I've said or presented. I'm going to invite you on. We can talk about it live. All right. And the one for the hate brews, I'm going to be going into all the scriptures that I see the hate brews posting about intermarrying, about not having any dealings with heathens and other nations and all these type things. I'm going to go into all those scriptures. I'm not running from anything. We're going to go into all of them, at least all the ones that I know of. And if anyone wants to send me additional, I'll go into those too, because I know what Yahuwah is saying. And I know that oftentimes we misunderstand because we like to cherry pick and we like to we already have a hatred in us and we already have a bias in us. So the only thing that we're trying to study for is a study to promote our bias, but not study to get the truth. Because if we truly study strangers, it's clear all throughout the scriptures how Yahuwah feels about strangers. And he's told us over and over again how to behave towards strangers. So it's important that we understand even what a stranger is in his eyes. We read a script saying that all Edom's going to be destroyed, and we run with it, not understanding that if an Edomite or a Hittite or a Gittite or a whateverite enters the covenant and it becomes circumcised and submits to Yahuwah, as Yahuwah has clearly shown throughout the scripts, that he receives them. So a lot of people that we call strangers, he doesn't call strangers, which is why even when he talked to the apostle Kafah and showed him that vision, he was showing him, don't call what I have cleaned unclean. And Kafah understood that he was talking about people, because even Kafah had that same attitude. But Abba had to show him and deal with him and show him everything I've shown you guys in the scripts, even concerning the Gentiles. So if I clean them, don't call them unclean. That's whether it's a Gentile that is Yahshua or not. Doesn't matter which category it is. Unclean is unclean. And Yahuwah says if I cleaned someone or something, then it's no longer unclean. And we know he was talking about people in that vision. Right after that is when Cornelius came to him. And Kafah knew by the Ruh that he was supposed to go with him, because the Ruh spoke to him and said, now go with this man. It was right after the vision. So he was clearly talking, showing him that vision because of the people that were about to come see him. The Ruh, Yahuwah, knew that Kafah would not receive them. So he had to show them, receive them, because I sent them. All right, so Barak Yahuwah. We'll continue at a different time. I'll let you guys know when. All right, I'm going to end with this song. Take Me Away. Barak Yahuwah. Love y'all. All right, Mishpaka, Barak Yahuwah. All right, so that was like I said, that was a song that I wrote while I was off Facebook the last time, just crying out to Abba Yahuwah, asking him to take me away, not away from the earth, away from life, but just away from all the foolishness and the nonsense and the wickedness. And my prayer is that he just make us all separated for him. All right, so let's pray, and then I'm done. Abba Yahuwah, Tada, Abba, for your love and for your mercy. You're so good. Thank you for everything, Tada, for everything that you've done for us. You are our righteousness, Abba, and we're nothing without you. You are our righteousness. We lean and depend on you. And we just want your ways, and we just want your heart. That's all. We just want your ways, and we want your heart, Abba. Hallelujah. Thank you, Tada, for your love and for your mercy, because you've been so merciful. Tada, for imputing unto us your righteousness and giving us a heart circumcised that desires to go your way. Oh, such joy, Abba, and gratefulness and thanksgiving to you for imputing unto us your righteousness and giving us circumcised hearts that desire to go your way. Wow. All esteem to you, Abba. We love you. We appreciate you. Tada, tada, tada. In Yahushua's name. You're so good. All esteem to you. All right. Much love, Mishpaka. I am out. See you guys on the next broadcast. Tada for joining.